Hey everybody, it's Ashley Bradley, the Intuitive Business Coach, and today I want to talk to you about taking maternity leave if you are a freelancer or a coach, basically a self-employed, service-based person. And I'm gearing up myself to go on my second maternity leave here in about 10 weeks and have gone through this process before as a freelancer. So if this is something that's new to you or you're looking at your options and you want to do it differently this next time, I'm going to give you some specific things that you can think about and some options that are out there and things that I do so that you can possibly have a different experience or try something different this time. So I will say for either pregnancy, had not planned far enough in advance enough to take advantage of doing like some kind of disability insurance, like people that are working for an employer and they have things that the employer is putting into disability that's getting taken out of their paycheck. That's a different story, and that's how they end up getting disability during their leave. And it's possible to do that if you plan far enough ahead and you're like paying into it for a certain amount of time and you're paying yourself through payroll. That is an option, but again, like it does take some pre-planning, and sometimes when you're already pregnant, it's too late. So maybe it's something you consider the next time, or if you happen to be watching this and you're not yet pregnant, then you can start looking into that and setting that up. But that's definitely an ideal thing if you have the time for it to plan ahead. There are ways as a self-employed person, and this would be more so a question for like a financial planner, that you can get a separate type of self-employed disability. Again, I don't know the details of it, but I know that during the time I was pregnant with my son, we were meeting with a financial planner, doing like all the adult things of like getting life insurance now that we were having our first kid. And he mentioned that that was an option in the future, but that it's not something that they would cover me on if I was currently pregnant. And so you would have to do it during a time frame when you're not planning to be pregnant, where they don't anticipate that you're going to start collecting on it soon. So again, an option if planning ahead or for the next time, if that's a possibility. One thing that I have set up for myself during my last time I took leave as a freelancer, and that I'm doing now as well for this next leave, is bringing in a different freelancer. And I'll give you the pros and cons of this so that you can see if it's right for you. But essentially, instead of having to stop taking on projects, especially as you get closer to your due date, projects that might potentially like run beyond the time, or if you were to deliver early, you end up like at a certain point, especially if you're somebody that does things that are longer term or larger projects, having to turn away business. So the really idea is to bring on somebody that's qualified, that would be a different freelancer with the same skill sets or similar skill sets to you, that would essentially report to you, that you would transition over into working with your client. So it could be existing contracts or relationships that you have that are ongoing, or let's say you get inquiries during the time that you're on your leave, then it could be that you're basically referring the business to this person. So let's look at the pros. The first off is typically what you would do is arrange a rate that's different from the hourly rate or fee that you have with your client, so that you're still making money from it, since you're the one that has the relationship that brought in the client, and you're still going to be doing work to kind of transition the person and probably answer their questions and so on and so on. Ideally, it's great if you can find somebody to work at a lower rate than what the client is paying you, and so that you're actually, while you're on leave, making some money for every hour that they work or every project that they complete. So that is a definite benefit. Another benefit is that you can keep taking on new client roles or maintain your relationships while you're on leave, so that in case you have any concerns about like turning away business or having longer term clients find somebody else when you're away, this is definitely a good solution for that, so that hopefully as much as possible you can come back from leave and pick up where things left off. I would say, I'm trying to think if there's any other pros I want to call out. Let's go to the cons. Okay, so if you're somebody that wants to like think about nothing business related during your maternity leave, things are still going to be running, right? There's still going to be stuff that's going on with the business or people that have questions that might need you. And so that's a consideration. If that's something that's just going to drive you nuts or you don't want to think about it all, not necessarily the right step for you. But I would say that's the only con that comes to mind. Obviously, there's only so much you could do if you're on maternity leave and something goes wrong. But if you think about it, and if you know the person or you vetted the freelancer, you're going to have to determine if that's worth it for you to basically keep the business running while you're away on leave. Another option would be to set up some sources of income for yourself that don't require you to be working, to be performing that service, or as a coach working one-on-one with somebody. So for example, if you were to create like a short course that you monetize, of course, to sell that course, depending on the size of your following and your email list, you may have to do some advertising to drive traffic to it. But if you develop some kind of course or ebook or something along those lines, it's something that can bring in income for you when you're not working during those months. So that's not something that I've done before, but it is something that I'm thinking about this time, if I can get my act together enough to make that all happen. But it does, I'm on the Kajabi platform, and so I will say that the way that you create things, like if you were to create a short video course and you have like some worksheets to go with it, they do make it like very easy to have all of that set up, and to have it just to be built as a site really quickly and easily. So those are a few recommendations. I will say that if you don't happen to know any freelancers and you're thinking about hiring a freelancer to replace you during your leave and there's no one in your network, Upwork is a good source for that, and it could be a benefit for you to like interview and vet multiple people. I'd say a word of caution would be against hiring too close of a friend that's a freelancer. I did do that during my first maternity leave, and it's not that it went well client-wise, but it's very different when you are entering into a business relationship with a close friend, and that can change the dynamic of the friendship and of the relationship. So even though that's like kind of no-duh advice, that's something that I would want you to think about and consider as you are determining who the right fit is. The only other thing I would mention in terms of like bringing a freelancer in is to really make it as easy as possible for your clients to say yes by being a part of transitioning that person, any like structures or things that you've learned, especially if it's a longer term relationship, to make it really easy so that that person, that client of yours doesn't feel like they have to start from the beginning working with somebody, but it'll be easier for them to say yes, and they will be much more likely to say yes to working with your replacement if you've like primed and prepared that person and vetted that person for them. So certainly make sure that you do your due diligence and that you build in some time to ensure that the person is like ready to go and step into whatever you were doing in a really seamless way. So I think that's all that I have to share on that topic right now. Let me know if you have any questions or if you have any comments of different approaches, things that you've done differently during your maternity leave as a coach or a freelancer. Post them in the comments, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.